these guys here, this is Jidge Gandy, who was the son of the man who brought us the Gandy Bridge across Tampa Bay. And Jidge was alive and kicking in those days, and he was a great fellow to talk to and learn about the early days with my own smiling face with a little bit of black hair and dark hair. And this was Wally Bishop, who was my friend, who was the cartoonist for Muggs and Skeeter. Over here, we have a shot of the hull being lowered down to bait to the keel. We sent the keel boats out. There were, I think, only 14 keel boats. There may have been more, but the major ones. Anyhow, we sent those to a testing lab and had them put into a block of lead. The keel boats at the Hairsoft factories and most of the major yacht builders who were accomplished were drilled and tapped into the lead. They weren't poured in place. They had a very special coarse thread. And so, you know, that was all new stuff to me. Fortunately, I had the kind of people who could help me do it. And we sent that out in one keel boat, in one block of lead. It took I think it was 38,000 pounds to pull just one bolt out of that piece of lead. So we knew the keel wasn't going to fall. Well, here's a shutter straight party wherein the last plank was screwed in, fitted and screwed in place. And I let all the gang who was working on the boat off, and I owed this picture to some attorney in New York. His father was supposedly in that crew here, and I've got to get to that before I die. Anyhow, we invented Defender Punch, which seemed like a very innocuous material, but it plowed under quite a few guys that day. Okay, here we are. We were, I think, the first America's cutboat to have a flat deck. Why do we do that? You can see that the deck beams are thicker, wider in the center, but they're flat across the top. But where the greatest stress would be is in the center from the vertical load. And okay, they let us do that. And this deck was about 2 1/4 inches thick of diagonal tongue and groove plank western red cedar. Well, if you take a look right there, for instance, and you say that halfway down from that is the center of gravity of the deck itself. If it were plywood, the center of gravity would be, it would only be 7/8 inches thick, and the center of gravity would be just under the upper edge of this. So we were driving the center of gravity down, down, down through this structure. But the reason we had the flat deck was we could take that winch or this winch or any of these things, unbolt it, and move it wherever we needed to refine the layout of the deck material, or deck equipment, overnight, within hours. It was easy to do. So that was, oh, these winches, they were Variant winches. The Variant company made a lot of winch advancements. And the year before, 67, Intrepid had some winches that cost somewhere around $44,000 a piece. They were they were 3 speeds, 3 or 4 speeds. They were very hard to spin in an override mode. They were coupled and you could get a great deal of force. People came to me and said, well, Charlie, we're about ready to put your order in. I said, I'm not ready to put an order in. You guys haven't told me what I need. Oh, well, you know, you have to tell us. I said, no, we're not going to do it that way. You tell me. So that was the president of the company, and a buddy of mine was the vice president. He got on the line and said, I understand you give Bob a hard time about this. What, I want to come see you. I said, well, come on, Ken. He came, and I said, look, you guys are the pros. I'm not going to invent that wheel. Tell me what I need. He said, well, let's go over it. And finally, we talked and talked, and I said, wait a minute. In 1962, when I sailed on Columbia, I never saw us break a sheet that was then, we were using wire, it was plow steel, galvanized plow steel, and the heaviest we were using was 3/8 inch diameter. I said, that's the limit. You can't, whatever it takes. So then we talked more about it, and said, well, how many gears do you want? And I said, no, I've been thinking about it. Our crew is the first gear. They can be overridden easily. They can just suck up. It takes 11 seconds on the 12 meter to release, to start the tack, head up, release the sheet, roll over, say let her head reach, roll over. They have a tacking line that pulls the jenny forward, and all you got to do is pick up the slack. I said, what do we need that high speed take up for? Well, we don't. So these were just 2-speed winches. And so the way it worked out, whenever the load came on, the crew that was tailing would stamp on the platform they were standing on, and they would shift the gears on the winches down below. They were all operated vertically. I'm going to show you. They were all below decks. And they would shift gears, double clutch it, so that it threw them both into action, so 4 men could be cranking at the same time. And that was the famous Mark 12, variant Mark 12, which only weighed 74 pounds apiece, and that was not the titanium version. Right there. Okay. Here we are again mating the keel. It's a little clearer picture. And now is on her way to the launching site. And there's my wife and daughter who were going to take care of christening aspect of things. We had dual cranes. Well, before they left they were toggled together, and here's what happened. They left that crane there does not have the big counterweight across its rear end. So all the load went onto one crane, and I'm not going to take up your time telling you about the fiasco we almost had. It killed my wife and child as a minister too. We lost the boat. It didn't bang her up too much. Oh, something's going on. I must be hitting the wrong button. Yeah, I am. Anyway, here we go. We finally got her in the water. And big celebration. And little Jennifer said, for God, for country and honor, and christened the heritage. So this was our getting ready for our first sail. And during all of this activity, there was a group. Here we are sailing in Tampa Bay that were filming an Alcoa, what became an Alcoa hour called Duel in the Wind. And you will see, maybe we won't see, I'm not sure, Harry Chapin, who later was killed. That was before he was famous. The great guy used to come, play his guitar, sing to us at night. Okay, well, I had torn up my knee and couldn't go with the boat, so I'm getting back on the chase boat in Tampa Bay, and we're about to send the boat off to Newport. She sailed up on her own bottom and outran her little sport fisherman chaperone, Alert, off of Cape Fear. She was about 80 or 90 miles ahead of her the next morning when we got caught in that blow, which tells you how fast the blow we were going right with. And here's some of the statistics. 70,500 pounds. I wouldn't go into that. And she was, it says a little more around 50 feet. Well, it was really 48 feet something. But she drew, that was about the maximum draft under the rule and without penalty. And that's how heavy they were. I told you that the keel was 54,000 pounds, call it 53,000 pounds. Well, we added the trim tab on, which was lead itself. And so it was 54,000 pounds of lead, and the hull weighed 10,000 pounds, right at 9,900 something pounds, with no hardware on it and no keel. That's the kind of ballast displacement ratio those boats could get. And in 1960 or 58, when Columbia came out, won the America's Cup in that year, her total displacement was 56,000, about 700 pounds. So what was happening, and this is how I wanted to remark about how close we came to losing the America's Cup. Not only, well, when Intrepid came out, that was a clear superboat, but in 1962, Gretel passed Vim downwind on one leg and just went swooping by her, and that was the first sign that we were not getting good information out of our test time. This is our crew here. Don't know whether you recognize any of them, but some of you might know this guy right here who is Steve Colgate in sailing school. He's all these hot shots. This young fellow right here just racing the Star Western Hemisphere Championships in Tampa, and I couldn't understand why I wouldn't take a drink with him. Because I don't drink anymore. But he wanted to buy me a house full of booze. This fellow here sailed. He sailed with Dennis Conner, and sailed with Ted Turner and Courageous. He was one of the most marvelous sailors. He has two gold medals, one silver medal, and one bronze medal in the Olympics. 3 of them are in two-man sculls, and the other one was sailing with Dennis Conner at Fort Sailboat. This is the original drip dry 12-meter rig. This is young Freddie Bickley, who was our bowman. We called him Twinkle Toes, and he's now his Commodore of the St. Petersburg Yacht Club. Yeah, we could come in, slide into the slip, pick her up, and be wiping the bottom dry or perfecting it, which really ran the competition. They finally came over and wondered, well, they thought it was an unfair advantage, and we wouldn't use the dehydrator, which was to keep her from picking up any water. She was not leaking. We could get a little water in it from the sails and all. But she was not picking up any water. Of course, she was out of the water. So we said, okay, well, we won't run the ventilation system. And there's just a shot of me squinting to the sail, trim it down, and I probably was thinking.
Charlie, could we just stop just for a minute so that Tom can